Joining us now in Studio B is former NFL and BYU linebacker Spencer Hadley. Spence, welcome back to Studio B, man.
Thanks, guys. Good to be back. It's been a little while.
It has been a few weeks. Yeah.
I imagine we're going to talk a little football, if that's okay with you.
I guess I'm okay with
Did
it.
you watch the game?
I thought we were going to talk about
what?
Holly Holm.
Oh,
I thought that's why we were
yeah.
here.
How about that?
Is that not why we're here?
Oh, we're not going to talk about
Oh, man. Never mind.
BYU Sports Nation
Should I just go
UFC
there?
analyst Spencer Hadley is on BYU Sports Nation. That was crazy, right?
Yeah. It was intense. Did you
You
watch it?
obviously want to talk about it. I saw the highlights.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you happy that Ronda Rousey lost, Spencer?
No. And then yes. No. I was rooting for her. I'll be honest. I was rooting for her. But Holly Holm, wow.
What was a rough Saturday night for you then? Because your UFC gal lost, and then BYU football
Yeah, I was pretty upset.
ends up losing to Missouri 20-16.
Wait, now hold on. Before we break down Missouri, we haven't had you in since you got married, right?
It's true.
Oh, that's
Congratulations.
right. You're
True.
wearing
Yeah.
a wedding
Thanks,
ring.
guys. Thanks.
So you had like the hurricane scare when you were there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you summarize that
Yeah,
before we
yeah,
get
real
into
quick.
it?
So we were in Puerto Vallarta when we went to bed Thursday night. We knew of a tropical storm, was what we were told. That there was a tropical storm in the area, and not to worry, no big deal. So we right. We go to bed Thursday night, wake up Friday morning. My brother actually called me. He called the hotel and got to our room because neither of our cell phones were working. He's like, dude, what's your plan? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, on my honeymoon, I'm coming home today. What do you mean, what's my plan? I'm gonna enjoy this last day. And we go out into the lobby. It's like buzzing like a beehive. The airport's shut down. They're like, oh yeah, there's a Class 5 hurricane headed our way. We're like, what the heck? What are we supposed to do? So they bussed us to a shelter. It was a school. And we sat there for 12 hours. Yeah. Is this any safer than where we were? Sat there for 12 hours and it didn't end up hitting us. But
well, that's an unforgettable honeymoon.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
We were bused to a shelter and hung out with a bunch of other random people for 12 hours.
We were supposed to come home that day, but we ended up coming home the next day.
Holy cow.
Eventful.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can break down Missouri.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Holy cow. From UFC to
Also
hanging out in a shelter in Puerto Vallarta.
Also known as the Class 5
honeymoons to
hurricane. Yeah.
Back to BYU football.
Now we really are going to talk about football, and I want to start with this. 46 rushing yards for BYU against Missouri as a team, 36 against San Jose State. How does BYU improve that rushing offense moving forward?
Yeah, those are frustrating numbers. And it's not a lack of talent in the backfield. I think we have experienced runners. We have young, explosive runners. We have great running backs. And it's not a lack of talent that's causing the lack of yards in our run game. It's our offensive line. It's I think what you don't see from our offensive line ever is a 2 to 3 yard push off the line of scrimmage. And if we do gash for a few yards, it's our running back breaks a tackle and gets some yards, or makes a great cut, slices through a few guys, gains a couple yards. Our offensive line, you just don't see the push. I know that they're struggling with some injury, and they're having to juggle some guys around to fill positions, and that can really hurt, especially an offensive line, because the way an offensive line will block a scheme is almost like a basketball team's defense. They've got to move together like a zone defense. They've got to move together, pick up guys, communicate, because defensive lines, you're running switches and screens, and it's almost like a basketball game. It's like a 5-on-5 or whatever, and so the offensive line, they have to be in sync with each other. They've got to understand each other, move together. They move as a unit, and when you're juggling guys in and out of the rotation, it becomes very hard. It becomes difficult as an offensive line to have that continuity. And so there's a struggle there, and I also feel like we have a bit of a lack, as is typical with BYU, a lack of depth. Some of the guys we're throwing in maybe aren't quite ready or aren't quite prepared to play at that level, and I think that's the main issue with the running game.
And when I look at BYU in that game, there are a couple of plays that stick out to me that if you don't have those plays happen, Kai Nakua picks off pass in the end zone, pass interference. BYU gets a third down stop, 13 of 20 on third down, so it was a big stop. Sai Tautu's targeting, fumble by Hine and Mangum. It felt like BYU could control its destiny. It wasn't overpowered by an SEC team, and that's what's disappointing.
Right. No, I agree. I think penalties played a big part in that loss. Penalties at critical times, like you mentioned the two, and then just poor decisions, just dumb mistakes where you're just like, what are you doing? What is that for? What did you need to do that? You didn't need to do that. And it seems like watching the game, it's like we did just enough to lose the game. Like
that's a weird phrase, but it makes sense.
Frustrating.
Spencer Hadley with us in Studio B. We're talking BYU, Missouri, and now what happens for the Cougars as we push it forward. Does BYU need to become a pass-first team with Tanner Mangum as the quarterback and the run struggles?
It's interesting that you asked that question because I'm sitting there, I'm watching the game, and I say to my wife, which she doesn't understand anything I'm saying anyway, but I said to her, it's almost...
But babe, there's 22 coverage on the field. Like, what are we doing?
Wait, anything or football?
Anything. No,
okay.
Football.
Okay.
Anything about football.
Okay.
She's a very bright woman.
Yes.
I said to her, this is almost a team that's got to pass to open up their run game rather than run to open up their pass game.
The drop play to Algernon Brown was a great example of
exactly.
that.
Twice. 2 times. They ran it 2 times, and it it was huge for us both times. And it's just, I think you give the keys to Tanner Mangum, keys to the car, and let him just go. Let him go. That's where in the second half when we came out, we were slinging the ball and we were moving it. And we did a great job we struggled to give him time, and I think that's where the quick game comes in, where you're hitting your hot routes, your quick crosses over the middle, your quick outs, and Tanner has the arm to get the ball out there to those guys, and he's got the accuracy to put it in the right spot. So I think you give Tanner the keys to the car, let him take over, throw the ball, sling it, quick game. He's smart, and it worked for us in the second half. But it was just like too little, too late, and then penalties and some fumbles were key.
10 games in now, BYU 7-3, fresh off of a disappointing loss. So for some reason, 7 wins feels disappointing.
Yeah,
isn't that weird?
It does.
If you had said it before the season, ...
Yeah.
7-3. I think BYU is still in a decent position to finish with an overachieving record at the end of the season.
Sure.
What do you think? 3 left.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, I think if we get these next 3, which we should, they should pull off these next 3 games and get the next 3 wins, in my opinion. And I think
so. You don't even care who the bowl opponent is, because we don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't care.
You don't care.
No.
Should win.
Nah.
Okay.
Should win.
You still have the player mentality, baby.
Love it.
No, I think they should, and I think that they can. I think they have a great football team, and they just you see them. They just teeter-totter throughout games, and I think they need to go with what works. I think they need to give Tanner the reins and let him take over.
Spencer Hadley with us on BYU Sports Nation. A positive from Saturday night was Bronson Kafusi. 10 tackles,
Absolutely.
3 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. I mean, he did it all. Brent Musburger and Jesse Palmer could not say enough good things about that guy on the SEC network. So, that said, how much do you think he improved his draft stock with a game like that?
Oh, I think he did a great job improving his draft stock. Where exactly? I'm not a draft analyst. I'd never understand.
You're a UFC analyst.
yeah, right. I've never understood how they do that. You'll hear a guy, oh yeah, he's got a first, second round grade, and he ends up going in the 6th round. You never know with the draft itself. But I think he absolutely improved his draft stock to go into SEC country, which is considered the big